All right. Oops, that you were waiting. Want me to go live? Took a little bit longer than I expected. I was getting some links together to put in the description, and then sort of get myself situated here. All right, so I'm gonna try to keep this short, but I just sort of wanted to touch on a few things that I got going on locally that have sort of been bothering me, as well as they are a community concern, as well as, once we get into these kind of things, you'll sort of notice you yourself may be concerned about what's going on here as far as this matter goes. So long story short, I, in my free time, hunt white supremacists online. I heard somebody once say, you don't get to be a Nazi on the weekends. Fully support that statement. You do not get to be a Nazi on the weekends. I believe white supremacy is a very, very dangerous idea. This is something that I don't give a fuck about your supposed First Amendment rights on. First Amendment protects you from your government, not from a former white supremacist who's upset about the deception that he experienced. So long story short, I don't like white supremacy, racism, things of this nature, and I tend to locate these people online, and I don't have a problem calling your job, your church, your educational institution, wherever you're pretending that you're not a Nazi, wherever you're pretending that you're not a racist at. I don't mind calling these people and, showing them the other side of you. You want to be proud all the way around. In doing this, I tend to locate a lot of other shit. I also tend to research and seek a lot of information. Anyway, so at one point, January 2017, I come across a locally ran web page called Indiana Freedom Alliance. And in January of 2017, it was very pro-liberty, anti-government, but it looked like something was off. It looked like it was sort of trying to hide what at the time I thought were some white supremacist beliefs. I didn't get too far into it because nothing too serious had come to my attention at this point. I alerted, a few individuals on some things that I found, and then I sort of lost track of it. As well as I believe he kind of went dark for a while. Now, IndianaFreedomAlliance.org is the fourth link down in the description for this video. Good morning, Regina. Good morning, Joe. What's up, safety man? Good morning, everyone. All right, so if you go to this page now, it's a lot different than it was when I first found it. I've got screenshots of the original. I'm going to have to put them in a different kind of post. I didn't have all that, put together for this. This sort of very impromptu show we're doing. Obviously, I don't usually do shows on Friday nights and then on Saturday mornings, but we're doing a special show for this today. Anyway, so a little more with the backstory. Now, one of the things I did find in the original location of all this information was a tie to one of the local trustees' offices here, as well as the individual who was sort of listed as, the name for all of these things, other than the trustee's office, is a individual named Michael A. Christensen. And locally, he made headlines in like 2003 for a child molestation charge, which is the first link that you're going to see, and then the second link is him registered as an offender. He did about 14 years, and he's very proud of what he did his time for. So, long story short, he gets released, and he comes back to LaPorte, Indiana, where he's basically sort of from prison with some public records request and things of this nature, felt out the trustee's office. So fast forward to maybe 4 months ago, I find out exactly what it is that he was up to, what seemed off when I found the beginnings, when he was more recently released. He's been out a little more time now and had quite a bit of time to do a bunch of crazy shit. Anyway, so if you look in the description, there's an IndianaFreedomAlliance.org, a LaPorteSentinel.com, a Kindness360.org, and then a LinkedIn for a company called Ameriscribe Braille. That site, the original site for Ameriscribe Braille, may be taken down due to me exposing some shit locally, but the rest of these are up. All these links that I've posted, I got and put them in the description, right before I made this video. So this all should be up to date and accessible. The original Ameriscribe site is down. Anyway, so if you go on these pages, I wouldn't advise it, to be honest. There's a lot of pedophilia shit on the Indiana Freedom Alliance, and then the Kindness 360 and LaPorte Sentinel have a little bit lesser obvious kind of shit, but if you notice in the background, pictures of kids kissing and things of this nature. Anyway, so from what I can tell, this individual is quite active online, and he lives here locally in LaPorte, Indiana. Now, these websites are all quite extensive. These are not the kind of skills you really learn in doing 14 years in prison. He's sort of well read on the law, from what I can tell, which is what you would learn in prison, but you wouldn't learn how to build websites in prison, period. So I don't really think that he's responsible for a lot of the technology side of this. I think he's just responsible for the content. Which brings me to the next thing is, okay, so this individual, how I ended up finding this stuff again was I was trying to find a document that I thought I bookmarked, and I searched Indiana Petition 2, and I was trying to find it in my search history. What I ended up finding was a Google result that was basically something along the lines of, it was on this Indiana Freedom Alliance, and it was Indiana petition to make a small town a pedo haven or pedo friendly small town, something of this nature. Basically, forward and to the point. Let's turn this town into a pedophile town. Let's fill it up with pedophiles. And it's got a different terminology that it's using right now, but it's still up. It's basically come have an adventure in a town without bigotry or something of this nature. And now essentially this dude he's marketing the town of LaPorte as he's basically saying that the town accepts pedophiles. And I think he's sort of making a little bit of a jab, saying that they're so inept that they didn't notice what he was doing, which essentially what I believe that he's doing is he got himself, he was working in the trustee's office. And he seems like he learned what the process was, and he could probably navigate a recently released inmate through that process to get assistance from the Center Township Trustee's office and basically set themselves up in LaPorte. You do this enough times, you would essentially create a pedophile town. Individuals would be released here. They would be homeless, but would be fully apprised of the paperwork process to get assistance and all the loopholes and things of this nature. And then tax dollars are funding these pedophiles to get themselves set up. And these websites, a lot of them they're all ran by him. It's one dude. He talks about himself in third person a lot. However, from what I've understood by talking to the trustee, he fraudulently utilized her name on several documents leading to 501c3 and things of this nature. So Ameriscribe Braille was teaching Braille from pre-K up. Any child, any blind child, Braille, very touchy-feely and blind children. So there's that. Then we have Kindness 360, which he sort of uses for propaganda, to promote himself as helping the trustee's office and things of this nature. Then you have LaPorte Sentinel, which is basically posting various information about local, governmental stuff, as far as like the sheriff when they did the trick or treat notifications about sex offenders. He wrote this big long thing about oppression and of pedophiles. Then there's like how to file a complaint against your probation or parole officer for drudging you when you're a sex offender, things of this nature. Anyway, so this is an individual who he's reached out to individuals in the community and explained quite extensively that he's very proud of what he did. Basically, that there's nothing wrong with, quote, kissing the tip of a little boy's penis, things of this nature. Pretty fucking sick dude. He advocates that what he's doing is not wrong, that it's the child's right to try and things of this. It's fucking sick. Anyway, so locally we also have, or we had, under the former prosecutor's office, what's known as an Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which, to my knowledge, even though they spent about $81,000 a year on the record, I found things that make it look like there's about $47,000 missing from at least 2017. There's not been, from what I understand, any charges ever filed based on any investigation from this office. Now, what I may do is upload a call or several calls that I've had, messages that I've left with the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. I spoke to the LaPorte Police Department, which, by the way, quotes his First Amendment right to talk about fucking your children in their phone conversation with me. Anyway, so he's sort of somehow, I'm supposed to be a dummy, and I managed to find all kinds of activities online about what this individual is doing. I managed to find the ties to the Center Township Trustee's office, all sorts of paperwork, the Center Township Trustee's office has been fully made aware of this. Um, she's not chosen to pursue anything other than calling his parole officer, from what I understand. Nothing about fraud. From what I understand, she's not pursuing anything with the paperwork, which she's not as involved as he makes her seem, or if she's not involved at all, like she claims, you'd think she'd be upset about this, and would have pursued it. Wouldn't have to try to make these videos to talk these people into, or to sway these people into actually taking a look at this. Anyway, so the Indiana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force for the port. No investigations have produced any charges filed about anything. This individual is quite active online. They haven't noticed or apparently done anything about this. I've posted all about it on Facebook. All sorts of other individuals have shared the shit out of it. Individuals in the community are concerned. So what I'm trying to accomplish here is finding out what exactly could a community do when it's out there, it's in the open. All the individuals who protect the community from these sorts of things have been notified, and they essentially can't, won't, don't do anything. But the community's paying for what he's doing, it appears. He's got himself listed as a media and communications individual for the trustee's office. It's not hard to figure out once you look through everything. There's another link where I make a post with all sorts of screenshots and things of this nature of financial ties and such. But what possible reason could a local government, local judicial system, local police, sheriff, prosecutor's office, things of this nature have to let an individual who's talking about it's okay for him to fuck your kids because you don't speak for your kids and your kids want to fuck him, you just don't know it. That's this dude's opinion. He said what he's doing is completely normal and you're the fucking weirdo for thinking he's a weirdo. Our town, this is being promoted as a pedo-friendly town online because, on all of his sites. And he's openly trying to help these individuals find all the loopholes to get away with, how to be a better pedophile. Here's how to get away with a pedophile. Like, these sites are very disturbing. I can explain what the fuck I'm doing, so I'm not really fucked up about it. And I've brought it to plenty of people's attention. So I wouldn't repetitively visit these things. But if you do, it's fucked up. There's some fucked up shit on here. The graphics, everything about it's fucked up. And in some way, shape, or form, this dude was, he set himself up off the tax dollars. Now, from what I understand, he's a veteran. I believe he went AWOL. So from what I understand, that's a dishonorable discharge. However, he was able to, once he got out of prison and was a child molester, convicted, he was able to go to the trustee's office and claim veteran status and from what I understand, that's essentially where he was able to get priority over their individuals, over actual veterans who are not child molesters. Despite how I feel about war and what the military does to manipulate its own people and how it utilizes violence and things of this nature, there are veterans out there who were made a promise that when shit went bad for them, they would be helped, and they're not convicted child molesters, and this individual may have been given priority over them. Or even if they weren't veterans, from what I understand, he went AWOL and he's a fucking convicted child molester, but he was able to get priority with paperwork. So that's what a lot of this is this individual's good with paperwork. He's good with finding loopholes and things of this nature. The public has no recourse if its government is willing to protect this individual and claim First Amendment protected activity, but not any of these individuals. Around here, you may be surprised to know this, but I'm not the only individual who's been silenced at public meetings or while criticizing the LaPorte city or county government. This has happened a few times. Slap suits, to general ordinances describing people talking about their government and not worshiping them as being a reason to get kicked out and things of this nature. So there's never a right time and place. I've been paying attention to how my community's responded to this online, and there is no recourse for the community. So it would seem he would be the individual to take the issues to. And I don't mean with violence, which is where I'm assuming this is immediately going to turn into an accusation. I would mean getting these websites shut down, the false accreditations that he's using for various nonprofits and things. I would recommend getting a hold of their corporate offices and having them take their promotion of his pages and things down. The online activity is where he's able to get the most accomplished. He and with the paperwork. Now, fraudulent document creation, defrauding the United States government by lying on 501c3 documents. These are very serious matters, none of which are protected by the First Amendment, as well as it's interfering with government and things of this nature. He utilized a public official, which there's a whole lot of public officials that are aware of this, and none of the public officials seem to give a shit about how the public feels about it, and their official policy is that there's nothing they can do about it, and they're sorry. Short of, I have not discussed this in depth with the new prosecutor's office, so I will disclose that they have not told me to go fuck myself yet, but pretty much everybody else has not even returned a call or doesn't give a shit. So it's up to the online community to sort of, you can reference those links to these various accreditation organizations that he's using to sort of sell his ideas. These are things that are at the bottom of the page. As I said, do not do this lightly. If you're going to going to these sites be prepared to follow through so your intentions are obvious. I wouldn't want to send you to a site that's going to get you some sort of charges where you live just because they don't do anything here. But it's up to the online community. to, essentially, this is the appropriate time for censorship. This is not the time for you to claim First Amendment protected activity, because it's not. The First Amendment is a list of negative liberties. It is a list of what your government is not allowed to do. The First Amendment does not protect child molesters from good people removing their ability to promote their bad ideas. And that's essentially what this is about. If you are the type of individuals that has the skills necessary to utilize this information and pursue the cease and desist kind of result for this, by all means, there's a starter pack in the description. Other than that, like I said, I was going to keep this short. Doc Holliday. It's interesting because I was going to make this video called Priorities. How many of us have them? This is why I think you're a police officer, because you can't just fucking listen to the subject matter long enough to know that this isn't the time for your silly bullshit. But troll away, my man. Anyway, so like I said, there seems to be no real recourse locally. I've pursued it to several different ends. I've spoke with a lot of people. If you watch my videos, you may know that I'm quite persistent. But there seems to be no option for my local community, who does not deserve to be portrayed on the internet as if they love fucking pedophiles, because they don't. People are quite upset about this, and they voice their opinion from one side of town to the other online. I read a lot of online community stuff, try to be in touch with what the community's got going on and what they're concerned about. This was something that hit home, and my community's voice is not being heard. The representatives of my community have not spoken on this or addressed it. The newspaper refuses to deal with it. However, I've sort of made myself a public figure, and I've made sort of commitments to my community to sort of sound some sort of alert system if I think something looks strange or is off. This is definitely off. This is definitely fucked up. I don't know if this individual knows somebody who knows somebody, but there's certainly no, he's not worried about anything. And well, the rumors are the prosecutor's office deleted shit tons of stuff, like millions and millions of pages of documents from what I'm hearing, prior to leaving office. So the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force was his baby. So being that there's nothing about this, it kind of makes you curious where he was getting all that website building help from, and what exactly the prosecutor would guaranteed get himself a level 6 felony for official misconduct, which is what happens when you don't turn public records or official documents over to your the individual taking office after you. Had to be worth it to guaranteed get yourself a list of felonies for every one of those documents to destroy whatever was on them. Like I said, there's about $50,000 missing from his account for this, and they've spent about $80,000 a year, and none of their investigation over the past few years has led to a single, not one fucking charge being filed, which means nothing's being done about anything locally, and there's shit tons of money being spent on it in the public's name, but the public's voice is not being echoed by its government. So I'm asking you to echo that voice, echo my community's voice. My community is not a pedo haven. So anything that this dude's got online talking about advertising this place as a pedo haven, bring your pedophiles here because we'll help them get set up. But let's make sure that he understands that's not going to happen, because it's some very dangerous shit. I can't imagine what a group of pedophiles with a well-educated, delusional leader would be capable of in a town that he's openly making fun of. He's ridiculing them online. That's the LaPorte Sentinel. He's essentially advertising them as inept, as accepting or ignorant to this, to the point that they are accepting because they're unable to combat it. It's pretty dangerous shit. It's these, the police are keeping track of me, because I make YouTube videos, because I record in public, because I ask for copies of documents. Look at this. Ooh, so dangerous. And I know a lot of stuff about the law too, but the thing is I don't want to help pedophiles fuck the kids. There's that, so I would think that would set me apart as like priority number 2. You know what I mean? The police have told me that this individual is protected by the First Amendment, so they're pretty clear that they're not going to do anything. They can't, the one time they don't want to fuck with somebody's First Amendment protected activities. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. I was not really trying to do this even long of a video. Carefully, you might get a paper pad, right? Build a big paper mache tank. It's a Flintstone it. What's up there? Anyway, this shit's crazy. For everyone that's actually able to fucking hear the seriousness of what we're talking about, thank you. Paying attention. See your right. Doc Holliday. It's because of how you act that the cops watch you. Right. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to figure out why running around the town of LaPorte telling everybody you're going to fuck their kids. I'm going to try to figure out why that's acting a way that the cops are not provoked to watch. And moving along. Any more stupid fucking questions? Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Like I said, it's very impromptu. It wasn't part of the plan. So I'm going to go about my business. Guys, enjoy. Have fun. Appreciate the audience. Have a good one.